Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our returning listeners, and welcome if this is your first time listening. We're so happy to have you all with us today.
Thank you for joining us for the second episode of Season 2 of the Lion Pridecast, a podcast created by the Lansing Unified School District 469, located in Lansing, Kansas.
The purpose of this podcast is to inform our Lansing stakeholders, being our community members, students, and staff, about all things education. We are your hosts. I am Miles Ozza, Director of Teaching and Learning in Lansing USD469.
And I am Sharon Burns, the Director of Communications and Marketing. So today we are very excited to have our first returning guest. He was actually on twice last year, but it was the same pretty much episode that was just extended that we broke into two. So thank you, Superintendent Kobza, for being here today.
You are so welcome. I'm very excited to be part of the podcast again.
Yes. And one of the reasons that you're one of our returning listeners or guests is because, Sharon, Marty's episodes were pretty solid last year, right?
Yes. His first episode was the highest listened to over all of our platforms. So
the first episode was?
Yes. The second one was up there, too. I think.
Hold up a second. The second one wasn't the highest, though? People were like,
the first one was the
good.
highest.
That's enough.
I've heard enough.
That's enough, Marty. That's enough, Miles. I think we talked Rocky and Back to the Future too much during that time.
That's too funny.
Well, welcome back.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for being on here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So just like Miles and I did in our first episode, we're going to ask Marty to reflect on his thoughts on the district since starting in July and what he's looking forward to this school year. So that's what this episode's going to be about.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do it. So we're going to jump right in with a reflection question. So can you reflect on what's happened since the last time you were with us? That was, Sharon, what do you think, May? Was that when that episode probably was? April, May?
Yeah, it was end of April.
End of April.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been with us for the past few months. You've been here since the beginning of July. You know, what's been going on since then?
Lots of exciting things. Now part of the Lion Pride, which is awesome, and a true distinction to be part of that. So thank you all for that. And I want to thank everyone for the warm welcome. It's been great as far as coming in and people accepting me and some ideas and everything else. So personally, since then, I have a granddaughter who came into the picture, number 3. Sloan was born, and got a little chance to spend some quality time with her this last week, which was awesome. And so that was fun.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thanks. Appreciate that. So first granddaughter. Just to talk in general about just some of the things that have been going on in the district and maybe some changes as far as curriculum, teaching, and learning, Miles, which you're in charge of, been extremely impressed with that. So this isn't your evaluation on air, but I have been extremely impressed with that.
This is being recorded. So,
I understand.
I got a third point that I can point to at any time.
We'll set those goals after we turn the mic off. But anyway, with teaching and learning, I've been really impressed with where the district is with the GVC. As we know, we talked PLCs in the first episode and those 4 questions, and the district has done a nice job of really moving forward with starting to answer those questions. So the fact that you all have most of that up there is really, really good. The DLT process, the MTSS processes are systematic and in place, and I've been impressed with those as well. And so, as far as where we're going from here, and Miles, you know this as well as anyone, we're just continuing to build out those systems and become even more refined in how we do it, even more systematic in how we make sure every kid is meeting their individual goals, and we're maximizing potential for every single child. So excited, optimistic about where we're at in that process and where I see it going and in your vision. So I sure appreciate that very much.
Actually, can we keep going with that? Keep going.
You know what? I'm going to actually stop you because we have a lot of listeners that aren't familiar with acronyms for education, and you threw out a lot in that. So GVC, Guaranteed and Viable Curriculum, which we did have an episode about that last year.
Yeah.
DLT, District Leadership Team. PLC, Professional Learning Communities, and MTSS, Multi-Tiered System of Support. So
Yes.
sorry to stop you, but I know
No
there's my
problem.
mom will be like, okay, I wasn't following.
I'm really impressed that Sharon nailed all those
Yeah,
acronyms.
did you know those?
What?
You're
Sometimes,
truly
no,
immersed.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying as a person who's the director of communications and marketing, your background isn't public education. You don't really deal with a lot of these things on a day-to-day basis, and you nailed it. So way to go. And I will say just something really quick with the GVC coherent curriculum. We need to have it out there. It's going to help our new teachers coming in, good for parents and community members, and of course our teachers. However, I will say this: the GVC is our teachers did that. Our teachers killed the work that they did last year was just amazing, and I'm so proud of them. But also thank you to my ICs and Sharon for making it aesthetically pleasing online with with Canva and posting it on there. Thank you both because I couldn't have done something like that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
No, I think going into the next one, Sharon, kind of in your area, if you will, seen some real movement in that area as well as we've kind of looked at systematically defining roles within the district. Where people are at, where people can go to find information. We've really kind of lined those out. And again, Sharon using her skills to help us communicate that in the best way possible has been really good, as well as recruitment and retention. I know that there's a really comprehensive plan that's set up that you set up, Sharon, with Miles, and you guys are going to be really hitting the road to find the best possible people that we can find if necessary to fill positions. And then that retention piece.
Right.
We know, I knew coming in, but I know for sure now we've got some great people in this district that we want to stay, that we want to be part of the pride and stay with us for the long term. And so, finding ways to make sure we're able to do that and keep those people on board. But when an opportunity arises to hire someone, that we hire the best possible person, that we're not just taking anyone who comes along. And I think that the process that's been set up and that you guys have been working on for at least a couple of years now has really taken root and doing a nice job with that. So again, I've been impressed with that as we go along. We
That'll
have
help
made
with your eval right there. Right?
yes. And so in special education, we've done a couple things. We changed a job title. Basically, from special education director, we've gone to director of student services, which is a little more encompassing. Within that, within special education, we have IEPs, individual education plans that fit under federal law for students with disabilities. There's also what's called 504. 504 is an extension of special education that it maybe encompasses some disabilities that don't fall under special education. That makes sure students can be successful within our school environment. And so within that role that Ascendra Donald is in right now, 504 has gone under that, homeless has gone under that, some of our other special programs have gone under that. So as we look at alternative settings for students maybe who aren't being successful in the regular environment, those are the kinds of things that fall under that particular new role. So as I continue to go, maybe some people have started napping because I know my voice is very exciting.
Marty, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
What was your thought process behind that shift there? I mean, I think you kind of nailed it by hitting all of those really important issues, but what were your thought process? Because that was a move that you made pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So talk to us about that.
I think it's something also that as Sandra had in mind is I came in and we had talked about previous even to my coming in was there were these pieces out there. 504 is always one that's in limbo, right? Do principals do it? Are they in charge of it? Who's in charge of it? Is the counselors in the building? And in typical districts, what happens is that falls through the crack. There really isn't somebody who is monitoring that, in charge of that, making sure that occurs. And so 504 was kind of the onus, but also looking at that, so many of those students that we're talking about that fall into those categories cross over, whether they have an IEP, homeless, special ed, at risk, all those other pieces. Sometimes we get students who cross those areas, and so having someone that could bring all of that together to make sure services were available to those kids who needed them effectively was a big deal.
Okay.
So that's kind of the onus for why we did that. Technology, we kind of knew coming in that we had some updating we needed to do, particularly to our network infrastructure, our end users, if you will, or endpoints, which would be like your iPads, your computers, those kinds of things. We're in good shape. But what makes it go, the engine behind all of that, our network, our wiring, but our switches, routers, servers, all of those pieces that go into the system are aged. And we really needed to establish a rotation for how we replace those to keep them up to speed, both budgetarily and then also from an effect standpoint. You know, we have hundreds of wireless access points throughout the district, and making sure those are updated, running at speeds, configured in the right way in order for things to run the way that they need to run. And you know, we're reaching end of life, or have reached end of life on many of those. And so, you know, what's our comprehensive plan in order to get those replaced and move forward? So, you know, and the bigger thing is just looking at things systematically, asking questions, and then trying to find solutions with the experts, with the people who are here, who know lots and lots of things. Whether it be human resources, for instance, you know, what do our work agreements look like? What do our contracts look like? How do we onboard someone? What kind of training are we giving? Are all those things in place the way that they need to be? Making sure all our evaluations are being done and done properly, all of that stuff. And so just kind of taking a full look at it, and building systems where systems don't exist currently is kind of what we're looking at.
Right. Awesome.
I really appreciate you explaining all that, especially with the idea of like the networks and the things that you have to get to reach those endpoints.
I did see you nodding off, though, Miles.
I'm up now. No. Actually, I was listening. Yeah. Thank you. She woke me up. No. I was actually listening because I can barely get my network and stuff to work at home. So the idea of like this entire district and all that is impressive that we're moving toward there. So thank you. Mm-hmm. That was a really great answer.
Yeah. So one topic that comes up at every board meeting, if you listen, and something that I know you wanted to focus on when starting here, is our facilities.
Yeah.
So before you even started, you started the process of getting a facilities study done, and that's since come back. Can you tell us where you are with all that and your plan going forward?
Sure. So with the facility study, in essence, what we did was we had a company come in, and then there's an architectural firm that's part of that company. So they started from the outside in. So they started with our parking lot, our facilities, our playgrounds, everything on the exterior of the building, and then moved in from there to our infrastructure. So the walls, the structural stuff, all that good stuff. Then internal plumbing, electrical, flooring, aesthetics, all of that. And so they rated all of those components within each building and listed out specific things that would be in different categories as far as the quality of it, or if it needed rotation replacement or was in bad shape. Since then, we've met with our facilities committee, which includes 3 of our board members, Aaron Yoakum, Jeff Bolin, and Carla Wiegers. Our facilities director, myself, and then our building administrators and directors who a facility applied to came in, met with us, and we prioritized that list. So now that our priorities, are being priced out. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get cost estimates on those, and then from there we'll have a plan going forward. The plan going forward will be some things that we can do with some of the limited resources we currently have within, whether it be capital outlay or just some general fund dollars. But as we've talked before, or if you watched any of our workshops and the board meetings, financially we have work to do. And with those limited funds, we can get some of those projects checked off. But what looks like is going to be necessary is a bond issue. The timing of that will depend upon where we're at, quite frankly, with the cost estimates and what that amount of money looks like, so we can be as responsible as possible to our taxpayers. And then once that bond issue, or if we're able to get a bond issue passed and things brought up to speed, then life cycle patterns as far as, preventative roof maintenance, preventative HVAC maintenance. How do we make sure that we have the next cycle of rotation in, so we don't have to go to a bond issue every time that we have a major component, HVAC system, roof system, parking lot, those kinds of things that are due, that we have a budget that's set up on an annual basis that's going to take care of those things as they are staged and come up in the process.
That was a fantastic answer. I was like, I wonder if Marty will be able to explain to everybody who doesn't know everything going on with facilities in such a short time, and you did.
Yeah.
Just a real quick shout out to, I think if somebody came in and did it's not really a facility study. I love it when I do this, by the way, if I go off script.
I know,
Sharon's
I'm
face.
looking at him very nervous. Like, what is he about to say?
Number one, I'm going to say that we did 20 episodes last year, and it went well, and we're in season 2. So obviously, if I go off script, it's not the end of the world. You're going to like what I'm about to say. If there was some study done on our podcast equipment last year, I think we would have gotten a really... Do they grade it by letters, or how do they do that?
By color.
By color.
Yeah.
So what's the worst color?
Red.
And the second worst color?
Burnt orange, Texas orange.
I would say that we were in
purposefully.
the Texas orange red range, and thank you to LEF. I would say that thank you for giving us our grant this year, that we
Yes.
are probably, what's the highest?
Green.
Green.
I would say that what's the second highest?
Yellow.
I would say that we're green. You hear that, LEF? I put you on I got you worried
And
there.
Brian, because he brought us.
Oh, yeah,
this
Brian
for
helped us
Mother's
with this,
Day,
too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. So
Yeah.
that's all
And
I was gonna
Blake,
say.
yes.
Oh, yeah, well, Blake was part of the grant. Thank you so much for everything.
One other piece around facilities. Can I jump in here?
Oh,
Do
of
you
course.
care?
Yes. No,
okay,
please do.
because I don't want to neglect this. As far as within our facilities department, we have a new person on board with us within facilities, kind of acting as our facilities director, at least on an interim basis right now. Mr. Bruce Krotzel has joined us. Bruce comes to us. Bruce is a civil engineer by trade. He spent 21 years as the operations director of Shawnee Mission School District, I believe 8 years in Gardner-Edgerton as their director. Brings a real wealth of experience to the district. And during this critical time, as we're kind of looking at that bond issue potentially, or lining out projects, again, becoming more systematic, creating life cycle patterns, again, for equipment throughout the district. And that's even things like buffers, mowers, all that kind of good stuff. His expertise we're really, really looking forward to. And he actually started with us this morning. And so he's out wrapping his mind around everything in the district and working with our personnel to kind of get things set up and lined out.
Yeah.
So excited to have Bruce on board. And bring his expertise to the table.
Yeah, we were hoping to have him on today, but it was a little much to do to him on his first day on the job.
Yes.
I don't know if that was in
So
his
maybe in
job
the future.
description. Regular
Welcome
regular
here, and now
appearances
you're on a
a
podcast. Here's a microphone.
Yeah. Here's a microphone. You have no idea what the questions are. All right. So in the last episode, Sharon thought that you were in your 37th year as a superintendent. And so as you approach your 40th year as superintendent of American schools, Western Hemisphere School, but you have worked as superintendent for multiple districts, and you've just been in multiple districts in your career. Be honest with us. How does Lansing community compare to those after being here for just a few months? And please tell the truth, because you're hooked up to a lie detector. So, don't lie.
So just to go back, Corbett, this is actually my 22nd year as a superintendent.
42nd year?
Yep, something like that.
22nd year. Everybody, you hear that, Sharon? 22nd.
Thank you, Miles.
And
Thank you.
Contrary to popular belief, I can keep a job. So my moves were for reasons other than that. But Will you repeat the question?
Yeah. So, like in your short time here,
Oh,
how do you think our community compares, district, but also like just the Lansing community? How do we compare?
Will you
to
repeat the question because it sounds like a trap? No.
Well, tough luck. You agreed to the podcast, so there's no backing that out. You're here, and this is getting posted.
No. What I'll tell you is it's refreshing. It's been fun to be back in a place with so much community support. Mm-hmm. The opportunity to go to the homecoming festival extravaganza, the opportunity to be at football games, volleyball games, just different things around the district, and the community support is fantastic. I know that in the Lansing district, sometimes opinions can be varied. Sometimes people can be very passionate about their opinions. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
I think that's an important thing from the standpoint of is people care. If we didn't have anyone, expressing their opinion through whatever means that would be, we'd be concerned because we'd be like, well, nobody cares what we do and where we're at. But, there's vigorous discussion about topics. And those are all good things to be able to do and have, is to try to find the best answers possible for our kids.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something we talk to college recruits about when we go to these fairs, is the community support. And I know or actually it was earlier this week when we went to Nebraska, we had a student ask what that looks like. Yeah. And I had to articulate that. So we always point them to the podcast too, but you're right. People do care here and they do support.
And organizations like the LEF, I've had a chance to sit down with Tim from the city and others, and boy, what a cool kind of experience that was, to know that, the partnerships they're willing to get involved in with us as well. Had a chance to go to an event that was put on by the Fort Leavenworth, in which the general was there, General Beagle, and had an opportunity to visit with him a little bit, and the desire of the Fort to really be a community-based organization as well, and to reach out and do those things. And so not only within our district, but that whole surrounding district piece, and Kelanover and Leavenworth, and being able to kind of talk to them about things. So, just bringing together all those entities has been, or is where we want to be eventually, but has been fun to kind of start that process and wrap my mind around what that looks like. And so many of the things already exist. And so how do we strengthen that and continue to make it even better?
Right. And it's been really cool to see you being so involved and meeting with people on the Fort, and being in touch with Kellen and Leavenworth, and being at the football games and all that. That's been really refreshing and nice too.
That is the fun part of this job,
yes,
right? That's the fun stuff.
So, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
My turn. Yeah. Oh, well, this is my favorite question. So,
actually builds into what you were just talking about.
One thing you've talked about is your ability to build relationships, which I can appreciate that. Reflecting on these past few months, can you talk about the relationships you've built with staff and our board members?
Yeah. I think the biggest part of that has been to try to listen or understand people's perspectives. Mm-hmm. Because as individuals, we all have a different one. Right? We all see the world a little bit different. So trying to understand that, but knowing that in the end, everyone wants the same thing. And, not the bumper sticker, do what's best for kids, none of that stuff. But truly, how do we maximize learning in our district to open doors for kids to be able to do whatever they want in life? And I think that is everyone's goal, honestly. They do. There's always those conflicting pieces, That takes dollars, that takes tax money, that does this, that does that. So when we take all that into consideration, just understanding that we're all human beings. And sometimes we can get angry with one another. Sometimes we can become less than civil with one another. But at the same time, in the end, when you really dig down in there, everybody wants the same thing. and just how we communicate that and how we go about that. As far as the buildings are concerned, I've had a chance to be in the buildings some, not nearly as much as I'd like to be. I'll be really honest with you. I'd love to be in every building for an extended period of time every week. And I've done that a few times, but I haven't been able to do that as much as I'd like. And so that's a goal of mine, is to continue to do that, continue to learn everyone's name, you know, and get in to those classrooms more than I have been able to. So, but yeah, it's just that. And, you know, and when you talk about relationships, again, I think we talked about trust in the first one. And so just building those trusting relationships is what we're working on now, that everyone knows that we have a standard that we're going to live up to, whatever that is. Our kids have standards in the GVC. Our staff has standards for what we expect in whatever position you're in, and what are those, and really communicating those and making sure that we know that we're maximizing everyone's potential throughout the system. So that's really where it's at as far as those relationships are concerned. But again, everyone has been absolutely wonderful, welcoming, and given me a chance to float some new ideas and try some new initiatives, and so I appreciate that from them very much.
Yeah, I like that.
Excellent job. So you've already accomplished a few cool things. We know kind of like behind the scenes here at district office and throughout the district, but what are 3 major things you want to accomplish in your first year? So we're 3-4 months in. You know,
as we look at it, number one, and we've been pretty brutally honest about this out there publicly, and that is that we have to be financially healthy. As far as the district's concerned, you know, we've been able to, for several years, kind of make it through if we want. When we talk about our cash carryover, cash balances, some of those kinds of things, we have a ways to go, not just a long ways to go. We've implemented a plan this year to start rectifying that issue, and feel pretty confident that we'll make a lot of progress this year going into next year to kind of get ourselves in a better situation. And so I think that's the first thing. And so many things come off of being financially healthy. You get there, you have the cash carryover you need. Now you can knock out some of those projects. You can make sure your PMs are done. You can really become more competitive salary-wise when you look at it as far as our region, or making sure that we're paying people what they need to be paid in order to feel valued and stay in our district, and again, to be able to recruit. And so that is such an important piece, number one. And then the second one is we've got to get our facilities in shape. We've got beautiful facilities, lots of good ones, but when we get into the bones a little bit, they've been neglected. Some with the roofs, some with HVAC, some with some of those other things, which is why we did the study, and it kind of fleshed out what we thought it would, just in an initial look. But now a plan going forward to do that, so that we don't have huge major expenses that we're trying to take care of that could have been done with some really good preventative maintenance and cyclical replacement. So that's another major one. And then I think the another really big piece as far as a goal is what you guys focus so much of your time and effort on and do such a great job with, and that's recruitment and retention. Having the right people stay here and bringing the right people in. And so that in itself is a major theme. You know, we talk about the who before the what. Right. We can throw in any program we want, but if we don't have the right who's, no, it's sounding like the Grinch, but if we don't have the right who's in place, it really doesn't matter what we're trying to do. So again, I appreciate both of you guys and your work on that. And what we're doing for that, and bringing together our administrators as well to kind of put together that system and comprehensive plan, which I know you did some of this week. So that's great.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to number 2. Do you want to talk about the HVAC at the intermediate school? Because that is on our
Yeah.
board agenda every month for the last.
Yep.
Exciting. During parent-teacher conferences,
Yes.
our parents are being inconvenienced with where they have to park and enter the building.
It will be okay.
Thankfully,
Yes,
we're happy
it is
about
so
that
worth it.
because we have cranes setting our units on top of the building. So 4th grade had been done for a little while, but our 5th grade and other parts of the building had not. And so those units are being set. Some were set yesterday, more are being set today, bringing them online tomorrow, and hopefully by Monday, with the exception of one small area that we still have a supply chain issue, maybe is the way to describe that. Waiting on a couple of units for kind of our kitchen area and some of the other areas like that. So those should be coming in November, and they'll be set over Thanksgiving break. But as far as the majority of the building where students, teachers are and things function, by Monday, we should be getting complaints that they're too cold.
That is a wonderful
We're fine
thing.
with those complaints.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah,
3
thank you
months
for
in,
that.
we were able to fix that. Because you're right. That's been an issue. I'm a little over 2 years of being here, and that's been something that's come up a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
Every agenda.
And that was in process,
HVAC
and
update.
that was in process before I got here, and just waiting on equipment has been the biggest issue, and that's been a frustration from before I got here until now. But finally, we're seeing that being set. So, thank goodness.
Yes. Yeah. So we all know by now that you have a ton of experience coming in. Maybe not 40 some years, 22. Was there anything when you walked in the door at the district office that made you want to turn around and walk out, besides Miles's bad humor?
ouch. On the podcast. Sorry, Ma. All right, go ahead.
No.
You sure?
I'm sure. No, I mean, when you look at a job or you're going to potentially interview for a job, you do research. And so I can say that there were certain aspects that I came in, processes, systems that I looked at that I thought would be in place that weren't in place, that we're working on. Some things from facilities and just other areas that we look at that we would want to see better systems in place. That didn't make me want to turn around and walk out. It was just another challenge. And, I am a person who thrives on challenges and trying to find solutions. I've been accused more than once of not listening and just trying to solve a problem, whether that be personally or professionally. I just want you to listen. I don't want you to solve this problem right now.
Man, that's like my life right there. I feel like I do all the time. That's awesome.
So, I try to remind myself that sometimes not everybody's not looking for a solution right away, but I love to try to find those solutions, right?
Yeah.
No, nothing that's made me turn around and want to run away from the district.
Okay, good. That was the right answer.
At all.
Yeah, thank you.
At all. Just challenges.
Yeah.
Sometimes ones that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah. I remember going in your office one time and starting to tell you something, an issue, and you literally started getting up from your seat. And I was like, whoa. I just want you to hear this out. Let's just talk it out. I don't want you to do anything right now. So yeah, you're right. I learned that quickly. Like, don't fix this. Let's just talk it out.
I will say, as an employee, and even I know I'm not a community member, but I would want this in my leader of my community school district. Is I think the problem-solving thing, though, and the solution-based mindset is one that's really important and needed, with any leader, like at the top, because otherwise things will fester. And I have to give you kudos, Marty, because I've really bought into the whole systems idea. I've brought that up a lot in lots of meetings, even some of my grad work assignments that I've done is just this idea of looking at things from a system and getting the systems under control. At that point, delving in deeper with other things. But once you get that system, it really is a good foundation, isn't it?
It is. And we talked at the beginning of the year during our convocation and others about legacy, right? Legacy is that which outlasts us and has a positive impact on people's lives, organizations, whatever it is that you're in charge of. And one thing that I am proud of is, as I look back on some of the systems or districts that I've been in, that they have kind of taken success we had and even built upon that success. Part of it is I was not there anymore, and so they were able to improve even more. But the other part is that we felt like we had those systems in place, and as long as those systems got executed and continued to be improved, that improvement would continue. So that's a real important piece to me, is that, again, if we do it right and we build it right, it shouldn't matter who sits in this chair that I sit in, that will continue, that we have set it up in such a way that we're going to see a continued path toward improvement and greatness.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, we are approaching the end, which means that we have to give you the toughest question. It's $1 million question. You ready?
No.
He does not know this one before.
Yes, we talked to you a lot about these questions. We kind of gave you an idea of what they were. This one I kept close to the vest because it's the most important question.
Okay.
Have you watched Back to the Future yet?
You know what?
I don't like this answer. I don't like how it started. Know what? That's not a good start.
The other night, I'm flipping through the guide, right, on TV, and I see Back to the Future.
Okay.
And I see Back to the Future 2 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, don't worry about that one. Keep going.
And Back to the Future had 10 minutes left.
Oh.
So I did not watch it.
I'm proud.
Because I didn't want to just see the end.
Yeah,
and
it's been very confusing, too, of all movies to watch the last 10 minutes. I feel like, what the heck is happening?
You need some backstory.
If I get the flu this winter or something like that, maybe that's on my list. But no, I have not watched it. And it hasn't been on a priority.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I was
okay.
I
don't know
if it's okay, but because I was gonna ask, I was like, so hold on, you have to be sick, you have to have an illness in order to find time, and before I can even do it, you're like, it's not a priority. So if I was a betting guy, I shouldn't bet that you'll be watching that movie anytime soon.
That would be safe.
Okay. All
but
right.
You know, one never knows. Things could happen.
No, I know. I know you're not watching that, but that's fine. That's fine.
It's football season.
Yeah.
It is football season.
So maybe
yes.
There might be a junior high team on TV sometime that would take precedent.
Wow. You're not even coming at me at that one. That's coming at like the movie industry and Spielberg.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
You know what?
I think that's a great way to wrap it up.
It's not a great way to wrap up the episode. I don't know what you're talking about. I like want to cry. I'll be in my office. Still love you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being on. This is great.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me. And
yeah.
I'm sure people will look forward to the other guests you're going to be bringing on. So
yes,
awesome.
We're hoping to have a student next time.
Yes. We're going to have it.
That's what we're about. That's awesome.
It's going to be amazing. So, as always, for more updates and stories on Lansing USD469, you can visit us at www.usd469.net.
And if you don't already have it, download the free Lansing USD469 mobile app on Apple and Android. That app allows you to be the first to know about all the fantastic things happening in our district. And you do not have to be a part of the district to get the app. That's the beauty of it. Anybody in our community can
I love that you have the app. And also, because, it's getting a little colder outside, we can say it. The other reason that you really want to have.
Yes, so you could be the first to know about snow days.
Ooh, we may have already asked you this. Can I throw one more question at you? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you when it comes to, snow day type stuff?
I think I've already told the story about Wyoming, right?
Yeah, I think we did.
Sorry.
That is made. We have a slickometer that we put on the back of a vehicle and drive around with.
Okay.
That slickometer gives us the correct reading. Then we call off school.
Okay.
That's what I tell kids.
So I was just saying,
no such thing.
Wow.
No such.
Wow. I was going to ask, can I
No,
can I mess with that thing? Can I mess with it? Add 2 inches every time.
No.
You go outside and it's like, oh well, I don't see anything on the ground, but it says we have 19 inches of snow somewhere.
There's
ice.
No such thing exists.
Okay.
No, usually those decisions are made in cooperation with surrounding districts. Mm-hmm. And talking to the county, talking to the highway departments, doing those kinds of things as well, and then getting up about 4 a.m. and driving.
Okay.
And just kind of seeing what the conditions are. And then, like I said, we talk with area superintendents and find out kind of where everyone is at and what things are thinking. I will say that snow days are more frequent nowadays than they used to be back in the day. Going back to my 42 years experience, back then we went to school no
They had
matter
snow
what.
back then?
Yes, yes. They
Oh,
did.
no, you
Yes,
just went to
Ice
school,
Age.
yeah.
That's the Ice Age.
So back then.
The Ice Age. We were just used to it. But anyway, that we tend to call school more quickly and frequently, and safety and student safety, staff safety is our primary concern. And I think over the years there's been enough accidents, unfortunate things that have happened when we push the envelope on having school on those days that it's made everyone more cautious about doing that. It's not that we don't want to be here. It's just that time and experience has kind of showed us that don't push that envelope if you don't have to.
Right. That's very well said.
Great answer.
Yeah.
If you like our content and want to stay up to date on the latest episodes, please follow us wherever you are listening and leave a review to help others find us and learn more about our great district.
Yes, we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Stitcher, and Pocket Cast.
You promised me a new app.
I know I did.
Yeah.
I'm working on Podbean.
Say what?
Podbean is a new one. But
Yeah, that sounds fake. But that's fine. And if you had a suggestion for a future topic for us to discuss, please send us an email at sharon.burns@usd469.net.
And as always, that's a wrap on the second episode of Season 2. Woo!
Woo! Thank you for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.